Hello, welcome everyone to another lecture in Excel. Today we'll be looking at data entry in Excel. When working with data, we might want to configure our enter key so that it moves in the direction that we are comfortable with. To do that, we go to File, so from File we go to Options, then we move to Advanced. So the first option we have there is to specify the direction that our mouse or active cell is going to move to when we press enter. So in my own case, the downward direction has been made active, and I'm quite comfortable with this. But if you're not comfortable with your active cell moving downwards when you press enter key, then you might need to change it to the one that you are more comfortable with. So I'll leave mine down because I'm comfortable with that. So you click OK once you have made your selections, and we move on. Okay, there are two categories of data that could be entered in Excel. The first one is number constant, also known as numerical values. The other one is text constant, also known as strings. So let's start with numerical values. Our numerical values can be ordinary numbers. It will have decimal and it may not have decimal. So let me start with cell A1. So let me put 2 as an example of a numerical value that does not have decimal. So let's say I need 2 in my worksheet and I want it to be in cell A1. So I'll make sure that my cell A1 is active. Then with my keyboard, I'll type in that 2. So to accept that value, I'll just press enter key on my keyboard. So by pressing the enter key, it accepts it. So let me press the enter key so that it accepts that 2. So it has accepted it. Okay. So an example of numerical value with decimal. So let's say I need 3.59 to be in cell A1 for the work I'm handling. So my cell A2 has already been active. I need 3.59 to be in that cell. So I'll just type 3.59. So the cursor is still blinking, but I've finished typing that data that should be in cell A2. So I need to accept that data by pressing enter key. We've done so the other time. Another way of accepting the data is to go to this icon, which means enter, where my mouse is hovering. So if I click on it, it's going to accept the data. But let's say the data set is wrong. If I click on this icon, which is cross, and miss cancel, it's going to reject the data. But the value is right, so I'll just click on this. So this is another way of entering the data, of accepting the data. So let me click on it. So it has accepted the data. So it has decimal. Then our data set, numerical data set, can take scientific format. So let's say I need a cell in cell A3. Let's say in cell A3, I need 1.85 times 10 raised to the power minus 12 to be in that cell. So I'll just type in 1.85. So times 10 raised to the power minus 12, I'll say E minus 12. So E minus 12 means times 10 raised to the power minus 12. So it's okay like that. Then I'll press the enter key. Then it makes cell. If I press the enter key, it accepts it and move me to cell A4. Okay. Another thing we can note is that we can type in our data set and it's going to have commas embedded in them. So let's say I have something like 1 million. So 1, 000, 000. It's going to accept it if I press enter key. Then I could have numerical values that is preceded by a currency. So let's say I'm looking at $400. So I'll go to my 4 key on my keyboard. So I'll select $sign by pressing Shift and key 4. Then I'll put 400. So once I press enter, it's going to accept it because it's one of the numerical forms that Excel can take. Also, I can put percentage to follow number, a set of numbers. So let's say I'm looking at 93%, and I want that to be in cell A6. So I'll make cell A6 active and put in 93. Then I'll get the percentage by pressing Shift 5. So that puts my percentage there. Then I'll accept it by maybe clicking this icon. So let's say this value is wrong. Let me key a value that is wrong. Let's say I need 57, or let's say it's supposed to be 60 and I've keyed in 57. So I don't want to accept this data. I'll just click this cancel sign, this icon. Yeah. Once I click it, it's going to clear that value. Then I can now type in what I feel is correct. This time around, I think it's 60. So I'll enter it. All right. So we've seen the different forms that our numerical values can take. Also, we can edit or change the appearance of our data set. We might want to include decimal places. We might want to add commas to the data. We might want to switch to scientific notation if they don't have them before, and I don't want to change the values again. I just want to modify the data set. It's very possible in Excel. So to do that, let me key in some data in cells B10 to B12. So I have 5120000. I have that. I have 1 here. Then I have 1500. So what I want to do here is to insert decimal places and also add comma, then finally switch them to scientific notation. So what do I do? The first thing is to make sure that the data I want to change the appearance is highlighted. So I've highlighted the data here. So the next thing to do is to ensure that my home tab is active. Already my home tab is active. Then I'll move to number group. From there, I'll click the drop-down arrow to display the format cell. So the first thing I want to do is to put 2 decimal places for the numbers. So I'll go to numbers, then I will adjust the number of decimal places that is here. If I click the upward arrow, it's going to be increasing the number of decimal places as it's being showed in the sample. And if I click the downward arrow, it's going to be reducing the number of decimal places. So let me keep the number of decimal place at 1. So let me reduce it one more time. So if I'm satisfied with that, I'll click OK. But one more thing, I want to put comma. So if I check this box here, it's going to insert comma. So every 3 digits before the decimal places is going to have comma. Then I'll click OK if I'm satisfied with that configuration. So the changes have taken effect. The data now has 1 decimal place and comma has been inserted where relevant. So now I want to change this data set for it to have scientific notation. So I will ensure that data is highlighted. Make sure the home tab is active. Then I'll go to the number control to click the drop down arrow. So now I have the format cells again. So I can click on scientific. There are different things that could be done here as displayed here, but we limit it to the 3 that we're looking at now. So you could explore at your own convenience. So let me click on scientific. So if I'm satisfied with what I have here, I'm going to click OK, but I want to increase the number of decimal places in this case. Let me increase it to 2. So I'm satisfied now. I can increase it as I want, but I'm satisfied with 2, so I can now click OK. So now it has changed the format to scientific notation. So now let's go to the text constant or strings. It's just the same way that we have done to numerical data set. So we type in the text that is of interest. So let's say instead E2, I should have something like computer science. So I type it in computer science. And in cell F2, I also need to have computer engineering. So I'll click on cell F2 and type in chemical engineering. So I have chemical engineering there. Then I press enter. So you see that there has been an overlap between the content in E2 and F2 because the content in E2 exceeds the width of that column E2. So it's not that it's only computer that is left in that cell E2. If I click on cell E2, the formula bar is going to show me that in that particular cell, what I have is computer science. So how do I adjust it such that I can see whatsoever is in that cell, even without clicking on that particular cell? So I will need to adjust the width. So what I need to do is to go to the intersection between column E and column F and drag the width sufficiently for me to see what is in that cell. So I've dragged it sufficiently. Also, you see that what I've written in F2 also has exited that cell. So I can also increase the width of that cell to accommodate what is there so that I can see it even without clicking on the cell. Even without looking at the formula bar, I can see what is there. So today we have seen the different types of data set that we have and how we could enter them and modify them. So this brings us to the end of today's lecture. I hope to see you in subsequent classes as we treat more interesting things. Thank you for joining us.